Well, hello and welcome back to Antioch. Yes, that's where we are. Antioch, where one of the first churches was founded. It was the home church of the Apostle Paul. It's where he was in fellowship. And from that church, he and Barnabas were sent out on the first apostolic adventure. Wow! But what a blow for the church in Antioch. Barnabas and Saul. These are the two names out of the list of leaders that we just know so much about. The others, not so much. But these two guys were obviously the key brethren in the leadership team. But the Holy Spirit wanted them, and he wanted to call them out. And it says a lot for the church in Antioch that after fasting and praying, they knew that God had spoken, and they were willing to release these two excellent men, great leaders, great ministers. Fancy being told by the Holy Spirit to release these two key characters. Well, what would you do? I'm intrigued to see what they did. Look at verse 3. After the Holy Spirit had said, "Set apart for me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I have called them." So after they had fasted and prayed, I'm not surprised there, are you? Yes, the whole thing had begun as they were worshiping and fasting. The Holy Spirit spoke. But it's quite another thing, isn't it? To make the decision, we are going to affect this, we're going to do this, we're going to release them. They needed to be sure. So verse 3 says, after they'd fasted and prayed. So here was another period of fasting and praying. They needed to know that this really was the mind of the Lord. Amazing, really, isn't it? They needed confirmation that this was correct. Well, we all do before we make major decisions. But notice it was prayer and fasting that kept their prayers focused and kept their discernment sharp. We need to learn from this. I know fasting is not a popular thought, but maybe we need to seek the Lord about that. Maybe in these dark days in which clear decisions need to be made about all manner of things, maybe we should reintroduce fasting to our regular spiritual life. It's something to think about. But in consequence, they placed their hands on Barnabas and Saul and sent them off. A foundational action. Now, this ordination was a conferring of the authority of Jesus. That's the important thing here. This is not the authority of the church. The Lord had said, separate out for me Barnabas and Saul. So that was the important thing. This conferring of authority is what makes it possible for ordinary men to exercise the authority of the Holy Spirit in the way they lead churches. And that is essential. But notice what happened. After they'd fasted and prayed, they laid their hands on Barnabas and Saul and they sent them off. Now, the Lord honors the laying on of hands. And in obeying this injunction, they conferred the authority of Jesus on Barnabas and Saul. And on the strength of it, they sent them off. Now, that word sent is a really interesting word, and we'll talk about it next time. But for now, the Lord bless you. Bye-bye for now.